Welcome to Lifestyle Locker Radio. This is episode 017 with Dr. Krista Burns. Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hen, and welcome to the Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we dive into what makes an awesome lifestyle. From relationships to money mindset, nutrition to fitness, emotional health to peak performance, we bring you on an amazing journey to unleashing your human potential. So here's a little bit about Dr. Krista. It's actually a lot of it because she's a pretty amazing person here, right? So she's a certified postural neurologist, a certified posture expert. She's got a Ph.D. in global health policy and a Doctor of Chiropractic. And she's also a co-founder of the American Posture Institute. We're going to get into a lot of that today. And she has helped thousands of students in more than 35 countries worldwide. She's highly sought after international speaker. That's why I'm very glad to have her. Speaking at conferences such as the World Congress of Neurology and the International Chronic Diseases Conference. She's also an author of the Posture Principles, and her goal in there is to inspire audiences worldwide to understand the importance of posture. Posture is declining at the speed of technology, she says. Dr. Krista provides modern-day postural correction solutions to improve neurologic function and energy expenditure for increased productivity and longevity of vitality. So welcome, Dr. Krista.
Thank you, Dr. Josh. So great to be on the show. I really appreciate you. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so amped up to have you here. I'm sure our audience is very excited as we're bringing on experts like you. Well, you're the only one like you. You're the only Dr. Krista Burns. But we're excited because you're gonna give us some awesome information. Myself just want to, and you know this obviously, but I signed up. I'm going to be getting my postural neurology, certificate. I'm very, very excited. But let's hear a little bit of the story about the background of what has made Krista Burns.
Yeah, it all starts the morning of U.S. ski team tryouts. I was 18 years old, and my whole goal from the time I was 2 years old was to be an Olympic freestyle skier. So I know you love to ski, Josh.
Yeah.
I was just every day skiing bumps and just loving life. And I was on the U.S. ski team. And at that point in my career, I was knocking at the door of going to the Olympics. And that morning of U.S. ski team selections, I never finished my race. In fact, that was the last competition I would ever do. It was in Winter Park, Colorado. So that morning, I was practicing my ski run and I fell. And at that moment, my back was hurting so badly that I had to get pulled out of the competition. And when I got down to the bottom of the course, I was just crying and I was in so much pain. And my coach said, you know what, don't worry, we're going to get you back out there. We're going to get you back out there. And after that moment, all I wanted to do was keep skiing after I hurt my back. And I actually sought the allopathic medical route for my spine after having that injury. And from that moment, when you aren't educated about your healthcare options, like people who are listening to Lifestyle Locker right now, you follow the people that you look up to. In that case, it was my coach, my ski coach. And he said, you know what, you need to get injections in your spine. And so what I was doing is I was actually flying across the country to a recommended doctor to get injections in my spine once a week for 16 weeks. And at the end of this session, I mean, you can imagine, Dr. Josh, I was just so much more debilitated. And this was recommended to me so that I could get skiing sooner. And then it turns out that I ended up having so much more debilitation afterwards, which ended up ending my skiing career. From that feeling of being out of breath because it just hurt so bad. It was like breathtaking pain when I would bend over to put my socks on every morning. And I had visual bruising on my spine for 2 years after these injections. I really became obsessed with natural remedies for taking care of back pain and understanding how to live a natural life where we can actually preventable, injuries like I had, and which brought me to chiropractic school. And then from that point, after graduating chiropractic school, I just had such a dream to help so many more people. And then, of course, moved to Italy, started a practice over there, which led to the onset of the American Posture Institute. And now we're teaching healthcare professionals worldwide our postural correction strategies. So to be honest with you, it all started with a dream to go to the Olympics and following that skiing career, ending with low back pain, which led me to become a chiropractor and then going into postural correction as a specialty.
Wow. I think you're in the Olympics of what you're doing right now. I'll tell you that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Looking at your website, knowing you, meeting you a couple times. I mean, all I got to say is wow. Wow. So awesome background. We love that we have real people on here. You know, and that we can kind of dive deep. So, as an athlete, now as a posture expert, one of the things that you say, that resonates with me is that posture is declining at the speed of technology. That kind of hits home, but can kind of dive into that a little bit. I think people will get into this because they're probably listening right now on their phone or on a computer, right? And we're on technology right now communicating. So let's talk.
Yeah. So first of all, I love technology. Technology is our ability right now to be in two different countries and we're still connecting online because we have this ability to connect via the internet. But here's the crazy part is that we're attached to our devices 24/7. And literally people are attached to their devices and their posture is declining. If maybe you're listening right now and before you heard the word posture, you went, oh, maybe I should sit up straight, right? Because you were looking down at your cell phone. It's what I call flexor dominant posture, where your shoulders roll forward and your head goes down and you're looking at your cell phone. Now, why do I call that flexor dominant posture? It's because our flexors, which are, for example, our pectoral muscles, are dominant. So we go into flexion forward. And if you actually, while you're at home, if you're trying to breathe right now, I want you to try taking a deep breath in from this position. Try rolling your shoulders forward and taking a deep breath in.
I'm doing
it.
And
then, and then sit up straight now and take a full deep breath in. So for anybody who's listening, if you can actually feel that difference, then you can understand how flexor dominant posture with your shoulders forward and head forward is actually creating not only structural decline, but physical and physiologic decline of your body. So as we're in these positions attached to our technology in front of our devices, hour after hour, day after day, without getting up, without moving, a completely sedentary posture, it's really declining the physical function of our body. And see, the thing is we don't realize it because we've been taught as a society that if you go spend an hour at the gym every day and then go to your job or your occupation, which these days usually requires sitting, then that's okay because you've gotten your hour-long workout in. But here's the deal. The research actually demonstrates that if you have a sedentary job in front of technology, working out for 30 minutes to an hour per day will absolutely not offset the ill health effects of sitting in poor posture. Wow. Yeah. So that goes against everything we've ever been told. You think you're being proactive by getting up and going to the gym, which you are. I'm not saying that you're not being proactive, but what I'm saying is that it's not enough. And so what they found is that sitting is the new smoking, but standing is not the answer. You actually need to have changes in posture throughout the day while interacting with technology in order to prevent these ill health effects from happening. So your posture then is truly what makes the difference. And if you don't mind, I just would like to tell a little bit of story about posture because I think this is so interesting from our understanding as human beings. So what they found 3.2 million years ago, if you guys have ever seen a picture of Lucy, who was the very first human being, and she looks very ape-like actually, but the one thing that was different about Lucy than everybody else, all the other apes at that time, 3 million years ago, was that Lucy had an upright posture. She was able to stand on 2 feet. That one single differentiating factor, having an upright postural design, was actually the precursor leading to the human beings having our brain size triple in size and functional capabilities. So the moment that we were able to stand upright with an upright postural design, our ability to have this functional capacity of our brains at a humanistic level versus an ape-like level actually is just because of our posture. So that was the single preceding factor to the human superbrain. So if I'm sitting in for my occupation, if I'm sitting in front of my desk in a more ape-like posture, which is going to be flexor dominant with my head forward and my shoulders forward, then I'm actually doing my occupation at a lower level of intelligence than I was actually bred to become. So every time I stand upright, I'm more humanistic, I'm more intelligent, and I have better physical function of my body. So I know a lot of people are thinking posture, that sounds like a boring old topic. I know I've been told to sit up straight my whole life, but the reason you've been told to sit up straight is because it's your most humanistic characteristic, and you absolutely have better function from this postural positioning.
Yeah, so your brain actually works better when your posture is better. That's pretty, right? And as a chiropractor, we get that, but it's amazing just to think of it in such a deep level that, if you change your posture, you'll function, you'll work better, you'll maybe even work out better, ski better. It's unbelievable. Absolutely. And you also said something that also hit home in there. You said sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah.
Right.
So sitting, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll let you dive in there because it's, smoking is horrible. right?
Yeah.
And sitting is the new smoking. So that means sitting is probably pretty crappy.
Yeah, sitting is the new smoking and standing is not the answer. So literally, if we were to stand all day, people who have standing occupations, what do they complain of? They complain of their feet hurting and they complain of low back pain. Our sedentary professionals, our occupational athletes, what do they complain of? Their low back pain, right?
Yeah,
and neck pain and shoulder pain. Okay. So standing over here is one extreme and then sitting is the other extreme. So we know that sitting is the new smoking because of all the ill health effects associated with obesity and associated with low metabolism. But standing is not the answer either because that can also lead to a lot of preventable musculoskeletal issues. So what is that medium between sitting and standing that can help us function at a higher level? And it's actually a change in posture. So if I notice that I go into a flexor dominant posture because I haven't trained my postural positioning, if I notice that I go into this position and I catch myself and I go into a nice upright postural positioning, that single change in posture now stimulates my brain. Plus, it's going to help with your caloric expenditure. And it's going to stimulate. So I don't want to get into too much technical regarding the brain, but you have what's called the vestibular system. Okay. And your vestibular system is your postural balance and your equilibrium. So every time I change my body position against gravity, I'm actually stimulating the vestibular system, meaning that I have better postural balance and I can stimulate upright extension. Okay. If I just stay in a flexor dominant positioning all day long without even thinking about it, which so many of us are guilty of, I know I was in the past as well, which of course led me to having a ski injury. But as I'm seated in this position, I have a lower level of brain function. When I sit up straight, there's actually functional MRI research demonstrating that your posture alters your resting state. So you go into a higher level of alertness while sitting at your desk and working, while sitting in class working, or doing whatever it is that you're doing while seated. So having that upright positioning of your posture is absolutely the solution to better physiologic function of your body. Now, if you think about an example of that, if you were to go to a classroom, right, and you look around, and just by watching people's postures, you can see who's paying attention and who's not. So the person who's not paying attention is going to have their head on their head on their hand. They're going to be slumped forward on their desk. They're going to be looking down at their cell phone, or maybe they're sitting really low in their chair with their hips forward. Whereas if the teacher were to call their name, what would be the first thing that person would do? So if you started falling asleep, Josh, exactly, you would sit right up. And why do you sit right up? Or why, if you're tired, you go, oh, I need to stretch, and you go into an open posture with your head back and with your arms up. You open your posture to wake up your alertness at work, at school, during your activities of daily living. So if we can learn how to maintain those proper positions throughout the day, that is the solution to having better productivity, to having better caloric expenditure, to having a higher metabolism, to have better function, and of course to prevent brain fog, not frog.
Well, you
brain
act like
fog
a frog.
yeah, right. For a higher level of alertness.
Yeah. So this is neat. So, postures become really, it's like you said in the beginning, it's, oh yeah, I've heard posture. I got to sit up tall.
Right.
But this can have such a dramatic impact at such a young age. When we look at children, you say classroom, posture exercises and posture activities. Wouldn't that be something that should be implemented at at that level when kids are actually in classrooms?
Yes, absolutely. And what's crazy is the research is there. I've gone through so many research studies showing that kids have better in-classroom behavior. They have more alertness. They have better activities in terms of learning and receiving the information when they have proper posture. The research absolutely supports it 100%.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the classroom is set up in a way that diminishes our human capabilities, both physically because we're tied to a desk, and then of course mentally because we don't have, the supportive materials to help us be in good posture as children. So we lose that attention span that we could have if we had that upright postural design.
Yeah. And another thing that it got me thinking when you were talking about like standing is not the answer, right?
Yeah.
So like there's such a big hype right now with standing desks, right?
Yeah.
And so that's obviously not the answer. It's just another industry to sell a thing, but do you see the same thing with when we have someone, or if you've done any research on it, I'm not sure, but people's posture probably gets just as bad, if not worse, standing than sitting.
Yeah, so the change in posture between sitting and standing is where you want to be. I highly recommend, like, if you can have an adjustable desk and an adjustable workstation, that's the best solution right there. So if you spend about 2/3 of your day standing and a third sitting, that's great. It's a really good ratio. You don't want to stand for 16 hours in a day.
Yeah,
Because if you do, you're going to, exactly like you say, you're going to create postural distortion patterns from that extensive standing. So any static posture is going to be the downfall of the human body. So whether it's a static posture seated or a static posture standing, you want to add that dynamic movement to it. So dynamic postures going from seated, going from standing. So with a standing desk, make sure that it's adjustable so you can also sit down and have that change in posture throughout the day.
Great. I think the listeners are going to love that because I see it in my practice every day that patients asking, can you write me a letter to get a standing desk? I go, that might not be the answer for you. That's not what you're looking for. So I want to get to the point here where we can actually, I want you to give you've given a lot of information already, but I want to see if we can get a few, concise, like bullet points. 3, like we call them golden nuggets that you can actually give our listeners. And if they're driving, not to write them down, but something that they can actually just, all right, these 3 things I want to take away from this talk because, I think you and I could probably talk for hours on posture and neurology and function, but I think everybody just needs to grab a couple of these golden nuggets and then you can give some positive action steps that people can do along the way. Is that cool?
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so here's the deal. Number 1 is your tech posture. So we got to prevent tech neck. And if you're seated right now in front of your computer, please sit up straight for a moment. What I want you to do is absolutely for free. You can, ergonomic doesn't mean expensive, by the way. Yeah. You can put a textbook or you can put a book under your computer to raise it up to eye level so that you're not looking down. Because when you're looking down, it creates that forward head posture and you're rolling the shoulders. Mm-hmm. So first thing you want to do is pull your cell phone up to eye level or put something underneath your computer screen so that's at eye level with you. Okay, that's going to be number 1. Number 2 is I want you to start taking posture breaks every hour. So I told you that you need to have changes in your dynamic posture positioning throughout the day. One of the single best ways of doing this is by taking posture breaks. So when you take a posture break, what you're going to do is you're going to take your hands out to the side, arms completely extended. You're going to drop your head back and you're going to push your chest forward. And I want you to hold that position for 30 seconds every hour. Now I say 30 seconds every hour versus doing it for an extended period of time because I want you to have that change in posture every single hour on the hour. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're going into an upright posture positioning that resists gravity. Because when we go into flexor dominance, we tend to go with the force of gravity. Okay, so we get pulled forward. So by pushing your chest up, arms back, head back, and you hold that position, you're resisting the force of gravity for 30 seconds every hour. Okay, so number 1, tech posture. Pull your computer screen up, pull your cell phone up to eye level. Number 2 is a posture break for 30 seconds every single hour. And number 3, please, please, please do me this favor of start sitting on an exercise ball or a posture cushion at work or during your occupational, okay? And here's the reason why, is because as we're seated on an unstable surface, then it's engaging our core musculature throughout the day. That's really great for burning more calories as well as building core strength. In addition to it, you guys, it's so important for your brain because like I said with the vestibular system, every time I change my body position in relation to gravity, I'm stimulating my brain. I'm stimulating my vestibular system for better postural balance, upright extension, as well as my sensory cortex to have better proprioception and better proprioceptive mapping within myself, within my environment around me, okay? Without that change in position, then I'm going to be functioning at a lower level.
So these three pieces, this is something people should do daily. This is not something they should just maybe set up once and try, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah,
just with posture, remember your posture's with you everywhere you go, right? So you need to be cognizant of your posture, and that's hard to do. I mean, maybe you've tried changing your sleeping posture in the past, and it's actually very difficult because you've always had this one posture that you slept in. What you need to do is have posture reminders. So if you want to put a sticker, for example, on your desk, that's going to be your reminder to check your posture every hour. Perfect.
That's great. So I mean, those are action steps and nuggets all at the same time. That's really good. I really like this. It's almost like we're fighting gravity here, right?
Exactly.
Right. This is so cool. So, my goodness. Let me see if there's anything else I want to get out of you. This is
Just to go on to that point, like you were saying with gravity, is it's an ever-present force, right? So we always have a force on the body pulling us down. And if we're not cognizant about standing upright with an upright extended position, gravity will win every single time, okay? So you have to develop these new posture positionings, these new posture patterns in order to be able to withstand gravity with an upright extended position. Now, a huge part of that is going to be chiropractic care and then also posture rehabilitation. So you want to be doing proper rehabilitation exercises in addition to chiropractic, in addition to posture habit re-education.
Great. So the people that are listening today, are more than likely, if they're not doing it, they want to be, they're having very active lifestyles, right? They're skiers, they're bikers, they're hikers, runners, CrossFitters, whatever it may be, maybe their thing. So how would posture, as an athlete, myself, I'm training for a marathon, right?
Nice.
So posture, why is posture important for someone who's an athlete?
Okay. One, because you're going to prevent injuries and you're going to increase your oxygenation throughout your body. Okay. So like I said, the example that I gave at the beginning, if your shoulders roll forward and you go into forward head posture, you have a 30% decrease in the functional capacity of your lungs. Those are some big words to say that you can't breathe as well. Now, while preparing for your marathon, is it better to be able to breathe at your full capacity or with a 30% reduction?
Oh,
right?
Full. Totally.
Yeah. Absolutely. So nobody wants to run 26 miles on just 2/3 of their full capacity, right? So just by simply correcting your posture while training, then that's going to increase your function by 30% instantly. Now that's for a marathon runner. I mean, that's the difference between finishing those extra,
no kidding.
extra how many miles, right?
Wow.
So just that 30%. One example right there. Yeah.
Wow. So that's
Absolutely.
huge. I mean, that's for, any sport, any athletic event period, whether you're competing or not, that's 30% is a big number. It's not like you can get like a 0.1 or a 1%. 30 is huge. And that's just lung capacity. That's great. But also, and at the same time, I don't want to get too nerdy with everybody, but that's lung capacity, but the posture, you're saying how it affects neurology directly, that brain function. So that athlete that may be a professional skier like yourself, I mean, your reaction time, your response time, I mean, wouldn't all of that be better across the board?
Yes, absolutely, across the board. Also, your motivation levels. So what's really interesting is when we go into a flexor dominant position, we're actually at a lower level of human function, meaning that we're not utilizing our frontal cortex like we should be. Our frontal cortex is our most human part of our brain, which differentiates us from animals. So my frontal cortex gives me motivation. It helps me set goals. It gives me, it helps me attain my goals, right?
It's like your mindset portion, right?
Exactly. It's your mindset and it's your human behaviors and social appropriateness,
okay.
Right? So when we have this upright posture positioning and we're utilizing and engaging our frontal lobe, we have a higher level of motivation than we would if we're seated on the couch in flexor dominant posture. So not only are these people already more sedentary, but they're like stabbing themselves in the foot to actually, get out there and do exercise because their frontal lobe is working against them in terms of motivation. So if we have this upright postural positioning, we're engaging our frontal lobe, we're engaging our sensory cortex, we're utilizing our full brain instead of just the back of the brain when we're watching videos, for example. So it keeps us more engaged, higher level of motivation, and a higher level of alertness as well.
You also sound like this. I think about this and I see people walk around New York City. Just attitude alone. Yeah. When you notice people walking with their head down, they usually have a frown on their face. They're usually grumbling. They're not in a good mood, period. I think that's just seeing this. I'm thinking about this as you're talking, like, holy cow. Posture it's kind of like everything.
It is. And honestly, what's crazy? Research just came out in 2017, Dr. Josh, showing that flexor dominant posture is in fact a diagnostic factor of depression. So we're not saying that it's associated with depression. It is a diagnostic factor of depression. Diagnostic factor, meaning if you see somebody in this posture, I know you guys can't see me on the podcast, but what I'm doing is I have a closed posture with my arms crossed and I have, my shoulders forward and my head looking down. You guys can picture this. I look depressed, right? And not only do I look depressed, but I'm not engaging my brain as I should be if I had a nice upright postural positioning. And they've actually done research studies to show that in a power posture with my arms open, with my chest forward, with my head back, then in this posture, I'm more powerful. I have have decreased levels of cortisol associated with weight gain and stress, and higher levels of testosterone associated with dominance and power and confidence. So how you show up to the world, it's not just what we say on this podcast, but it's how I'm sitting while I'm saying it, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's how you start your race is how you finish your race, how you enter a boardroom, if you're trying to land a big deal as an entrepreneur. If you go in with confidence and good posture, then you're setting yourself up for success from the moment you walk in that door.
This is so good. You're dropping, I said 3 golden nuggets. I think we got like 30. This is awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to end on a high note, unless you got more. Yeah. I'm ready.
Well, I was just going to say, posture, you guys, I want to tell you, is not this old boring concept, sit up straight. Oh, my teacher, my mom, my grandma, they always told me to sit up straight. It's so much more than that. Mom and grandma and teacher, they didn't understand all the physiology and the neurology behind better posture. But what they knew is that it's so good for your health and your well-being. And they were right. So give them a high five, because posture is where it's at. With better posture, you have better human function. We're human powered at the Lifestyle Locker.
Awesome. Well, it was awesome having you here, Dr. Krista Burns at the Lifestyle Locker. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And the listeners are going to thank you, because you're changing their lives too. So for all of you listening, we are going to have links. We're going to have everything American Posture Institute, everything Dr. Krista Burns ready for you, so you can connect with her in every single way. Maybe I won't put her cell phone number up, but we're going to put everything up. All the details will be up.
Contact me.
Exactly, right. So until next time, remember, it's your life. You now have the resources to unleash your human potential. Locker Nation, I almost forgot. Make sure you connect with us on lifestylelocker.com, as well as facebook.com/lifestylelocker, and connect with me personally on Instagram at Dr. Josh Han. I'll follow you right back. Awesome way for us to communicate. And one last thing, Dr. Krista has left us a link so we can actually get you guys some really neat info. Check it in the show notes. It's set up onto their website, so check it out. If you're a chiropractor, or if you're a health expert, you definitely want to do this. If not, you might want to do it as well. Talk to you guys soon. Until next time, bye-bye.